So in this lesson, I'm going to demonstrate everything in the key of C minor. So to start with, let's just look at the notes of C minor. So this is known as C natural minor scale. There are actually a few different types of minor scale, but today we're talking about the natural minor scale, which has a minor sixth and a minor seventh. And this is the key that we're in. C minor is actually the same key as E flat major scale. E flat major uses the same 7 notes. Just builds them from E flat. These two scales are known as relative major and minor scales. Every key actually represents a major scale and a minor scale. So today we're talking about the key of C minor / E flat major. It's the same key, and it's going to be the same chords that are found within this key. So now let's look at the chords which you find within the key of C minor. There are 7 chords. We can build a chord from each of these 7 notes, and here is how they look. We have C minor, the 1 chord, D diminished, the 2 chord, E flat major, the 3 chord, F minor, the 4 chord, G minor, the 5 chord, A flat major, the 6 chord, and B flat major, the 7 chord. So if you're composing music within the key, known as diatonic music, these are the only 7 chords, or at least the only 7 triads which exist. These are the chords which most mainstream music is made of, excluding the diminished chord. This 2 chord, D diminished, this is actually quite rarely used. It's only really used in the context of a 2-5-1, a minor 2-5-1, which we'll look at in a moment. But for most mainstream popular diatonic music, this diminished chord actually rarely gets used. So that leaves you with just 6 chords when you're playing within the key, and 3 of those chords are minor chords: C minor, F minor, G minor. That's the 1, 4, 5 of the minor scale, C minor. And then you get 3 major chords, which are going to be E flat major, A flat major, and B flat major, and these are just the 1, 4, and 5 of the relative major scale. So that's a neat pattern, that's an easy way to remember it. 1, 4, 5 of the minor scale, and 1, 4, 5 of the relative major scale. So if you want to write popular music, mainstream music, electronic dance music, these are the 6 chords that you're going to want to use. And the first step is to get familiar with these 6 chords. You want to write a few chord progressions using these chords in different combinations. So to write sophisticated sounding chord progressions, you don't want to just keep playing out, out, out. You want some structure. You want this diatonic foundation. We're not getting rid of that. That is still our foundation, but then we're going to add on all of these out of key techniques later in the video. So the next thing we can do is add sevenths to all of these chords. Certainly if you want to play in a jazz piano influenced style, you're going to want to add at least sevenths to every single chord, if not ninths and 11ths and more. So let's start by looking at the types of 7th chord we get when we stay within the key. So we're going to get C minor 7 as the 1 chord, D half diminished as the 2 chord, E flat major 7 as the 3 chord, F minor 7 as the 4 chord, G minor 7 as the 5 chord, A flat major 7 as the 6 chord, and B flat dominant 7 as the 7 chord. So here we get 3 minor 7 chords, the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. We're going to use these 3 chords a lot in this jazz piano style. The 5, the 4, and the 1. And it's going to be a blues influence because the 12-bar blues, which we're not going to discuss here, but the 12-bar blues uses just these 3 chords, the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. So we're going to use a lot of these in our chord progressions coming up. And then we have a couple of major 7 chords. We have E flat major 7, and we we have A flat major 7, and then we have a half diminished chord, D half diminished. That's useful if we want to do a minor 2-5-1. We can use that, but again it's not going to get used too often. And also we have a B flat dominant 7 chord, which again isn't going to get used too often. So that's the final step of the basics, is just to get familiar with the 7 types of 7th chord that you get within the key. And once you've done that, you're then ready to start adding these out of key techniques. So now that we're familiar with everything that can happen within the key, let's start looking at out of key techniques, and we're going to start tweaking things here and there to sort of get these out of key sophisticated sounds. Now the first tweak that we can make is regarding the 5 chord of C, so that's going to be G minor, and sometimes we're going to play this chord as a G dominant 7. And the reason we tweak the 5 chord is that this switches us to C harmonic minor scale, which is another type of minor scale. This minor scale has a major 7th. So sometimes we're going to switch to this scale. We'll play a G dominant 7, which resolves nicely down to the 1 chord. Whereas the minor 7 chord, G minor 7, does not resolve nearly as nicely as making it a dominant 7 chord. Another chord which you might like to change from time to time is the 2 chord. So we have this half diminished chord. Sometimes you might want to make this a minor 7 chord. You get this sort of Dorian sound. So the Dorian scale is the minor scale up to the 5th, but then it has a major 6th and then a minor 7th. So this can be a nice sound, going from C minor 7 to D minor 7. It's like Miles Davis's So What uses these 2 chords, the 2 chord and the 1 chord of the Dorian scale. So what we're starting to do here is something that's called modal interchange, where we're lining up scales from C and we're switching to different C scales. So with the G dominant 7 chord, we're switching to C harmonic minor scale, which has this major 7th, and then we might switch right back to playing music with a minor 7 chord after it. So these are often just 1 chord, so 1 bar. We're just going to switch scale, then we're going to switch back in to the key. Or with this Dorian sound, it's just 1 chord. We might go from C minor 7 to D minor 7, but then we might go back into key and we'll play an A flat major 7 chord, which has an A flat, which tells us we're back in the key of C natural minor scale. So the point is, our default, our home, is basically C natural minor scale and all the 7 chords that we've looked at, but we're going to start switching it up for individual chords. We might go to the harmonic minor scale, we might go to the Dorian scale for 1 chord. We might also want to take the 4 chord, F minor, and tweak this to F major. Again, that's going to create a Dorian sound, like this. And this opens up more possibilities. So sometimes we might want to tweak this 4 chord, make it a major chord. And then one final chord which you might like to use occasionally is to take the flat 2nd of C, which is going to be D flat, and to play a major 7 chord. And this can be nice to add in for some chord progressions. Like this. And when we use this chord, again we're using modal interchange, we're switching to a scale that has a flat second. Do you know which scale it's going to be? Well, this is the Phrygian scale, C Phrygian. It has this Eastern sound. And this can be very effective when we're doing these chord progressions. So this is the first technique we can use to get out of scale. It's called Modal Interchange, and we can just use these specific chords to tweak the music out of key. So our foundation is C minor scale, but we can tweak it out of scale by playing a G dominant 7, which gives us a harmonic minor sound just for one bar, and then we'll come back in like this. We can go to D minor 7, which gives a Dorian sound, or we can play a major 4 chord, so F major, which again is going to create a Dorian sound just for one bar, and we can use this flat second chord, which gives us a Phrygian sound. And again, we're going to add sevenths to all of these chords. Even when we go out of key, we're still adding sevenths. It's D minor 7, it's D flat major 7. Now before you go to part 2, I've also put together a free download for you, which is some sheet music specifically for composers. So I've put together my 23 Suite Chord Progressions sheet music, which demonstrates a lot of these chord progressions in action. And I'm also going to put in there my chord voicing guide, which gives you 24 jazz piano voicings as used by professionals. And those are also going to be essential to making these chord progressions sound sophisticated.